But when you get to, I'm almost 75. When you get to close to 75, I just feel like it's time for somebody else to get to do it. I've had my fun, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. And these students right here this year, I said, I am so glad, because I almost retired last year, and I'm so glad I waited one more year, because these students have been joyful. They really have been a joy to me. Now, don't get me wrong, there are times that we have had a little bit of trouble, but they're really wonderful kids, and I really appreciate it. And of course, you're only seeing about half of them today. Plus, we had some that came and left, and then some that didn't make it this last half day.
So how many students did you have this year?
This year I had 24. One time I had 25, but he moved. The little boy came in and moved out.
What's the biggest case? What's the biggest class size you've ever had in 52 years?
In 1964, I had 38 students as a brand new, never taught teacher before. They were so close up there in the classroom that I'm literally, if somebody wanted to get up and sharpen their pencil, they had to kind of pull their feet back out of the way just so they could get around, because it was tight.
Was Miss Lewis the principal in 64?
And she certainly was.
Will you talk about Miss Lewis just a little bit?
Miss Lewis was an interesting person, to say the least. She really was a good principal, but she came in at a weird time, because they had just closed 4 different schools and made all those people come to Sunnyview. And there were 2 other people that had been what they called teaching principals at their little schools that got added, and the other 2 were sure they should have had that job instead of her. But that was a difficult thing, to be able to bring all those different teachers and principals together and make it go, but she did.
Do you know how many students you've taught in your whole career?
Well, I tried to average it out at about 25, which it probably was, and it's a lot. No, but I don't really, at that point, because I had too many years that I had here at this school, I've had 28, 2 or 3 years, back in the early time when we first came. Nowadays, they got it fixed so that you don't have to have quite as many students.
What about 25 a year?
It's about 25 it's more than that, but that's close.
Why did you become a teacher? What influenced you to become a teacher?
Well, first of all, my grandmother was a teacher in Virginia, and she was, Aunt Gussie is what she was known as. But she was influential to me, not to my mother. My mother said, do not be a school teacher. You'll be as poor as church mice. You don't want to do that. It takes your whole life. You won't get to do anything else. That's all my mother did. And so for many years, I wanted to be a pediatrician, all the way through grammar school and all the way up to high school. And as a teenager, you can imagine, I'm thinking, I don't know if I want to do that. I've got 8 more years that I've got to have education. What can I do that would be something I can be around children? Oh, I guess I could be like grandmother, and I could be a school teacher. And I said, God works in mysterious ways, because maybe I would have loved being a doctor as well, but I could not imagine doing anything except being a teacher. It's a joy to me, and it always has been.
And so how does it feel to see students that have graduated and have moved on from today and see where they're at?
It does real well. Knox County language arts supervisor, Janet Sexton, I taught her in 5th grade many, many years ago. And there are other people that I've taught and I've watched. The ones that also thrill me are the ones that go on and become teachers too, because I can think of about 12 of them I know off the top of my head that many of them have joined the teaching thing. And of course Janet did too, until she got moved on up to be a supervisor. And I said about 7 years ago, a little girl told me, she said, you taught my mama. And I said, I did. I said, okay, what's your mama's name? And she said, you taught my grandmother too. And I went, boy. And I thought, oh my goodness. So now I'm used to that by now, because I've taught several of them that I've taught grandparents as well.